What's up everyone, this is Ryan here. Now that our data and domain layers are complete, it's time for us to start working on the front end of the application. In this video, we'll briefly review the architecture of the front end and also we'll outline functionality using an interface and build a few files necessary for the next video where we'll be building the entire presenter using test-driven development. So that's basically it. Let's jump in. Okay, so as a quick refresher, our front end consists of three primary parts. So we have a view, which will be a fragment, and the view is responsible for rendering and binding the user interface. We of course have a presenter, which will be as plain of a class as we can keep it, although it will have some RxJava logic in there. But the presenter is going to be responsible for event handling and logic, more or less the same thing. And then also we have a ViewModel from Android architecture components, which is going to act as temporary storage for data which needs to persist across orientation changes and activity destruction events. So that's basically it for the front end. Now again, I just wanted to briefly discuss about whether this architecture is model view presenter or model view view model. The answer to that is that I don't really care. I've taken parts of two different architectures and basically applied them the same way. Now I'm choosing to continue to call this model view presenter because I basically consider the view model class to just be another part of the model. But like I say, the name really doesn't matter. The most important thing is that each of these components has a specific job to do, and that's basically it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to build out the package and file structure for the front end. Now, I do want to mention something kind of important. I'm going to basically give a specific package for presenter, view, and view model separately in this project, and the reason for that is that there's only one single feature of this application. Now, if I was working with an application with more than one feature, I would actually structure things a little bit differently. So very briefly, if I was writing a note-taking app, let's say I had three features. So note list, which contains a list of notes, obviously. Note detail, which contains a detailed view of a note. And then add or edit note or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Allows you to do exactly what it says. So we've got three different features. In that particular case, I would probably put the view model, view, and presenter specific to each feature within a package for that feature. In this particular application, we only have one single feature, so that's why I'm laying it out separately as so. But I just wanted to mention this just so if you jump into some of my other repositories and you see more of a package by feature approach, that's basically what's going on there. So anyways, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and build the view package, and this is of course in our main package here. So Kotlin calculator, right click, go to new package. We're going to call that one view. We'll add one for presenter, and then we'll also add one for view model. Now we won't actually write a whole bunch of code in this particular lesson, but let's go ahead and add the classes just to get that out of the way. So within ViewModel, we want to add a Kotlin file, and that's going to be called calculator view model. Big surprise there. Within the view, we're going to make two classes. So the first class will be Kotlin file / class, and this is going to be a fragment called calculator fragment. And then we're also going to make an interface, and this is the only sort of class or file that we'll be writing for this particular lesson. And you can go ahead and type Kotlin file / class again, and this one's going to be called iViewContract. Now, why is it prefaced or prefixed or whatever the word is with I? That's basically a naming convention which I've adopted to denote an interface. Now, this is kind of particularly important in Kotlin because the files sort of end with .kt. So just kind of an important little note there. I do like to add in the I to denote an interface. So we'll go ahead and create that. And then we'll also create our presenter class, which will of course be called calculator presenter. And that is the class we'll be writing in the next lesson using test-driven development. So the only code we'll be writing is within IViewContract. Now, what exactly is this contract class, and is it necessary? So when I say contract, it's basically another word for interface, and I do have a fairly in-depth tutorial on interfaces in Java, and this will extend to Kotlin as well if you're not sure on the concept. So please do go and watch that video if you're not familiar or understand why interfaces are actually really useful and really powerful for decoupling our architecture. Anyways, one of the reasons why I like to create sort of one single contract for a particular front-end feature is because I like to have sort of one single file I can glance at and get an idea of the functionality of the whole feature. So what we're going to do is we're going to say interface IViewContract, and we're going to add three sort of subcontracts here, or sub-interfaces. If I say contract, just assume the word interface. So we're going to say interface view. We're going to say interface ViewModel. And then we're also going to say interface presenter. Now you can imagine if I was working with an application that had multiple different features, I would create one of these files for each feature. And basically, as I said before, I'm going to sort of use this contract class as part of my design process to sort of outline what I already know about these different components, what I want them to be able to do in sort of an abstract way. So for the view, we basically have four different methods which we'll be expecting from it. So we have fun, get current expression, which will return a string. We have fun set display, and that is going to be given a string. And my computer is churning like a lawnmower. Sorry, one second. There we go. Fun show error. And this one is also going to be essentially the same thing. And fun restart feature. So just very briefly, get current expression is just a way to grab whatever is in the display of the calculator, and set display, pretty self-explanatory there. Show error, we could actually use set display for that as well, but I just, for legibility's sake, wanted that to be a different method to indicate a different flow of the application if something goes wrong. And for restart feature, basically how that one works is so in a particular case where we can't actually sort of recover from an error, then we're going to want to basically press restart feature to sort of reset the entire application. So hopefully that one won't end up being used, but I did include that there anyways. And so let's move on to the view model. So for view model, we have function set display state, which is going to receive a string. So what is set display state? Essentially what's going to happen here is whenever we receive a response from the back end, or even the presenter just decides to update the data for the front end, it's going to set this display state that we want to be shown on the view model, and then the view model is going to automatically update the presenter after that. We'll see how that works in the next, well, in the view model video anyways. So we have set display state, and then we have, and this is going to be some RxJava magic, so don't worry if you don't understand what's going on here, but we're going to have a method called fun get, or a function I should say, display state publisher. And so this is going to return a flowable of type string. And basically what this is this is how we are going to listen to the view model when it updates its particular state and wants to propagate that message to the presenter or whatever's listening to it. And then we have one more method here, which is going to be fun get display state, which is basically like a sort of synchronous version of the above method. And lastly, we have our presenter. So generally speaking, what the presenter will be full of is sort of events which pop up from the user interface, which our view will want to be able to call. And so that entails fun on evaluate click, and that's going to receive a string expression. We have fun on input button click. Let's make sure I spelled that right. Yep. And that's going to be, it'll end up being basically just a character there. Fun on delete click. And we don't actually need to pass anything because there's only one delete button. And we also have fun on long delete click. And I capitalized the first letter there. There we go. Why do we have delete click and on delete click? So in this particular case, I just want to drop one character, and when the user long clicks the delete button, I want to clear the entire display. And then also we have our bind and clear methods. So what is bind and clear? So bind is going to be called on the presenter when the view is ready to attach to it, and then clear will be called when oh yeah, great English, when the view is basically in a state where, let's say it has just had its orientation changed or something like that. So that's basically it for our interface class, and that's pretty much all the coding we have for this video. Let's hop into the outro. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, we're going to be working on building our presenter using test-driven development. Now, you might be wondering, why are we building our presenter with test-driven development? And my answer to that is that one of the main features of this architecture is that it basically offloads logic from the view and the view model into the presenter, which is sort of where I maintain the logic for the front end should be contained. Now, here's kind of a peek behind the curtain in terms of testing. So which classes are most important to test? The ones with the most logic. So that's basically it for this video. We'll learn all about test-driven development in the next one. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button below if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.